folks, welcome to my time tunnel. Hope you're all having a great time, as always. Well, today on the tunnel, we're going to get into some old vintage RCing, I think. Oh yes, exciting stuff. But, hey, this is an old tank that I haven't played around with since I was a kid. And a lot of my friends haven't seen them since they were kids. So, let's break into the old 1980s RadioShack Sherman tank with more power. This is the exciting one. Get into it. Okay folks, this here is the RadioShack Sherman tank. And I tell you what, back when I was a kid, this was about the only tank you could get around here. Tanks and remote control tanks were very rare back in the 80s, I remember. And if they were pretty poor and poorly modeled. I would say RadioShack had a step up. The Nico, or the old, I think it is, who made these, really made some quality tanks for them, and they wanted a pretty good penny for these tanks. And that's why I never had one. Sadly, I remember my friends, I had two friends with one. One had the older one. This is a newer, more powerful, faster one with Searchlight that came out in the 80s. This one my friend had, this exact same one with the Searchlight, and a great tank. He loved the thing. Matter of fact, he would never let go of it. I tried a few times to make deals with him on his, and nope. Getting these off kids at the time, nope, wasn't that easy. But I remember I could have got one. I could have considered, I could have talked my dad into getting one, but there was always something else I wanted, just like every kid. So I remember trying to make trades for these because I thought people would get tired of them, and nobody ever did. By the time they did get tired of them, they were growing up, and you know, we long never talked about these things ever again. So I got this one. Now this one does have some issues I'm gonna have to fix. Got its box, and we'll get into that. We'll get in. We're gonna unpack this thing and see what I got. Okay, so what did we get? Well, we got the Sherman tank. Instructions, at least. Surprisingly. Still there. Bad things to do about it? Yes, and that's the interesting setup about this. Look at that. 9 volt and 4 C batteries. Whoo! Yeah. A lot of these classic ones I remember in the 80s took a lot of C's, and now that, of course, they've been replaced with powerful AA's and that kind of such. But yeah. Interesting battery layout. Okay. There's the Sherman tank controller. Whew, look at that. Now I do gotta say, from the other model to this model, they got rid of the red light that shows that it's working. I don't quite like that. This one still has a good antenna. Still works. A lot of them are bent, broken. A lot of them are missing the battery hatch. The battery hatch is the big one. Always missing. Luckily I got this one with a battery hatch. Okay, and there it is in all its glory. I have no idea if it still works or not. I sure hope it really does. And the barrel goes on. Usually these barrels are snapped, of course. Luckily this one's pretty complete. And here's what always happens. If you notice the treads are off, it's because this old rubber dry rots, cracks and breaks. This one's actually somewhat good still. One pin to hold it together. And there's some kind of, it's an older rubber, of course, and nowadays they are drying and cracking. But luckily, one tank maker makes a track that fits it. Heng Long. So if you research, you'll find that Heng Long Panzer 3 or 4. I got the track number here. I'm going to leave the track number of the exact one I use on the paper here that we're going to replace these with. And hopefully this tank still works. Well, we're going to find out. If not, it's going to kind of suck. Here's the tracks we're going to use. And these are more plastic pinned track. And yeah, they roll on pretty good. I've already test fitted them a little just to make sure they're the right ones that came in the mail. And when you're done, you're going to pull out a few of these pins, but it does give you a lot of extra track to and extra pins, so you can do repairs or whatever. Yeah, you guys get the idea. So I'm going to get it tight as possible and figure out how many links to pull out, and then we're gonna get into it, and hopefully this thing still works. It'd be really sad if it don't. At least I hope it drives. I'm not sure about the light and that kind of stuff, spotlight after all these years, but hey, let's hope for the best. And we're gonna try to restore this old thing, or at least get it back on the road. It's in pretty good shape overall. It only got a couple nicks I've seen, but for something this old, remote control, I usually got abused. It's in pretty good shape. So anyways, let's try to get a track on, see what happens. Okay, now if you can read that, that is the exact plastic track number 3848 3868. 3848 3868 is the tracks I got for this that will fit it. And now you're probably going to get you a little thumbtack or something. That's what I found that works all right. This little thumbtack here. And you can push these pins out with the thumbtack right here. Dink. And that's basically what I did. These come assembled, and I had to push one out just to get it apart. Okay, so take the tracks here. Just about. Well, it counts. It might be a little slack, but that's pretty tight. I don't think it'll make it to the next one. So, let's say these two right here are going to be the ones. So, let's see. And that one right there is going to get pushed out. Okay, so whatever you do, don't get your hands behind that. It'll poke you. So, oops. Get on that pin. And there you go. Dink. See how fast it popped out? Go in from the side that's not the... They're a little more indented on one side than the other. This side, they're sticking out a little more. That's the side that's holds it. This side goes in easy, so when you want to come back in, you want to come in from this side, of course. But there we go. Get your little pin here. Okay. It didn't take much at all to get that to squeeze up in there. Look at that. Holy cow, guys, I did it. Look at that. All right. Well, I'm going to do the other side, and then we're going to see if this thing works. Hopefully it does. Or at least drives a little. If everything else, if at least drives, I'll be happy. Now, who knows about everything else, but we'll see. Okay. Okay, now we got both tracks installed. Put on this. Okay, now I did install some batteries. This one luckily still has its battery hatch. I tell you what, finding one with the battery hatch, original battery hatch, pretty tough. One with this, and the battery hatches, yeah. But if you do find them, they'll charge you. Okay, let's see if it turns on. Oh, see some life out of it. Okay. Let's see. Whoa. Oh. Well, it does at least work. Not sure about the gunfire though. I think the gun's got something. Spotlight is working. Yep, so the only thing I can see, the rat-a-tat sound might be a little goofy. But it does drive. That makes me happy. And the light does work, surprisingly. Okay. And it works pretty good. It's a pretty bright light. Pretty bright orange light. Pretty cool. Now overall, that makes me happy. At least I can go out and play around with it and see how good it works. See how good it climbs. It's been a long time. This one's supposed to have more power than the older version of it. So, I'd like to get one of the older versions of it and actually put them head to head. Or see if I got a friend that got one. Anyways, let's go out and put it through the paces. Alrighty, here we go with a little Sherman. Look at it. Now this ain't the most ideal feel for it, that's for sure. Kind of rough out here, and it's kind of thick, but a little RadioShack tank don't do too shabby. This is about the limit though. Any field deeper than this gets a little rough on it. But you know what? Battery power. It's got pretty good battery life. I mean, I've been out here putting it through the paces, and the batteries have really held up. But overall, it's been a good little tank. RadioShack tanks, great little tanks. So, hey, I'm gonna have to get into more RadioShack tanks, I think.